to encourage others that you can do this. You're not alone. We've been there, we've done that, and that's what we want to be able to help folks know and understand through the Rowdy Foundation is you're going to get all this information. It's going to scare you. You're going to say, how in the world am I going to do this? We've got a place that you can go to. You've got resources.
You're listening to the Good for Business podcast, where we feature interviews, tips, and tricks from owners, operators, and innovators throughout Mississippi and around the world. And now, your host, Colin Krieger. Hey, welcome to the show this week. My guests are Scott and Whitney Ferguson, the proprietors, executive directors, operating officers of the Rowdy Foundation, which focuses on autism and autism support for North Mississippi. Give me a better example of what y'all do.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna let her go. Look, I really shouldn't even be here. The Rowdy Foundation is Whitney. I'm here for moral support. I'm just kidding, but I'll let her lead it from here.
So we started out the Rowdy Foundation to provide resources to families in the Golden Triangle, and it has just kind of grown from there. We provide events, and whenever we see a need, we try to fulfill those needs in our community.
Okay, we'll talk about the events, talk about the origin of the foundation with your son, timeline included.
Yeah, well,
yes.
You can go ahead and start.
Okay, yeah, so, we got Myers' diagnosis in 2017. So he was 2 years old. We found out that he was on the spectrum. And I think as a lot of parents, we panicked. We didn't know what to do, where to go, what resources were there. Thankfully, the Golden Triangle has a lot of resources, but there was no easy place to go and find those resources, find places to get connected with other parents that are in the same circumstances, or find resources to get Myers the help and the therapies that he needed to be able to succeed on the spectrum. And then as we found those, as a way to give back is really where the Rowdy Foundation came from, is we were very blessed, very fortunate to have all these resources here, but we wanted to give a way to shine some light on those resources and give other parents a place to go to find those resources. So that's where the Rowdy Foundation came from.
What was the first event y'all had? I mean, did it start with y'all just getting all the stuff organized and trying to help people, or did it start with like the dinner at Zachary's or something?
Well, it actually started in 2020. I was really excited. We were going to host our first golf tournament, start off with a bang, and it was April 22nd, and we all decided, no, that's not happening.
Let's stop the world.
Yeah, and I had all this really excited energy to get started. I moped around for a couple days, and then I called my father-in-law, and I said, hey, you got a pickup truck. I'm going to buy a bunny suit. And so I actually hopped in the back of his truck, and we drove around and did social distanced bunny pictures that Easter. So we were able to raise about $2,500, and we gave it back to one of the centers that Myers attended.
Okay. And so, like, right now, if somebody donates something to Rowdy, does it stay in your thing and y'all parse it out to people, or how does it work?
Yeah, we find different needs within the community, and we donate to those needs. Like we did a communication board in New Hope Park, and we are currently about to install 2 here in Columbus at the soccer complex and the Bank First Yards.
Explain what that is.
So a communication board is for those that have trouble communicating. You can go up, and it's a picture board where they're able to point and communicate what they're wanting to do and get their words out in a different way.
Yeah, so this is for a lot of kids, not only just on the spectrum, but a lot of special needs children. Communication is a very, very hard thing for them to be able to do. So having a place that they can go to and easily visually point to the things that they're trying to communicate, it allows not only parents, but it allows the other kids that they're playing with. Because that's one of our biggest things at the Rowdy Foundation is we want inclusion. We want your typical developing with your special needs, everybody to be able to function and play together, live together, see that we're not really all that different. And so being able to have those communication boards allows children to be able to communicate with each other who otherwise probably couldn't communicate, and it might lead to some frustration.
Yeah. But to circle back to your question, that's what we spend our money on, is trying to find different needs in the community, or else they go directly to our events where everybody can attend for free.
It's hard to nail this question down. How big of a challenge is the diagnosis itself? Because most people, I think, may overdiagnose ADHD and think that their kids are a little wild or something like that, and some of them go through it and some of it don't. How long is that time period between, some kids, I know it shows up very early, but a lot of them it's that 4.5 years old to 8, that window. Do you think most parents come into it to get diagnosed where they kind of like a man? I went to the doctor by myself last Saturday, so I really feel like I should be getting a world-class award there. An almost 50-year-old man who went to the doctor by himself. Same thing. I think some parents probably fear the truth.
Yes.
I'm sure there's some people who overdiagnose, but there are definitely some people there. What kind of resources or what kind of advice do you have for people if they think there may be, or what are some things to look for?
I will definitely say that the truth is scary. It's definitely scary to get that diagnosis or somebody even just mention it, but you can get so many more resources with that diagnosis. So when you go to the doctor, they don't look at your child and say, hey, your child's autistic. You have to get on a wait list. And a lot of those wait lists, I'm pretty sure we set our 9-year-old up for some diagnosis, and he's still on the wait list 6 years later. We haven't heard from him. So it's not always easy. It's growing more and more. There's a few people locally that are providing those services. It's just a matter of finding them and what time you get in and how their availability is.
And as far as diagnosis, I've read online in some of the support groups and stuff, just getting ready for this, that like a good preschool's like a great place to find it. Like they have attentive teachers at school who are paying attention and not just blowing off your kids.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The sooner you can get the diagnosis, the better. So going back to the fear that Whitney touched on, and I was in denial when we first got the diagnosis. I said, this isn't true. I'm not going to believe it. So what did I do, as any man would do? I said, I'm going to go find somebody who's going to tell me this isn't true, right? So then we went to another testing facility, and guess what? They came back and told me the exact same thing that the first facility said.
Plus some.
Yeah. So it was one of those things where it was a reality check of, okay, I could be in denial about this, or I could say, I've got this diagnosis. What can I do to give my son the best possible life going forward? And that's the route that we chose. And I think that's the route that most parents want to be able to choose. But if we run from it and we say, I don't want the diagnosis, I don't want the stigma, you don't get access to the resources, the therapies, the things that can help give them a better chance of succeeding.
There's a large percent of the population that doesn't want to be on disability because they don't want to be called disabled.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And they maybe can't even move. As far as, it depends on where they fall on the spectrum. And some people are pretty liberal, again, just like with ADHD, of saying, I've got this, I'm on this. Scott and I have talked about that privately, where they're like, well, I'm a little on the spectrum. I'm like, are you diagnosed?
Right.
Because there's therapy, and I won't say there's a cure, but depending on where you're on the spectrum, it gets to, are you going to be self-functional for the rest of your life? I believe right. The line in the sand there is probably Asperger's, is like, if you've got this specific, you have Asperger's, not you're somewhere on the spectrum, then you're going to have, you might be able to function if you can get one job and keep it forever, but a lot of those people, just can't keep a job, and it's so hard to communicate. I've got a family member with it, and you're just like, nobody can grasp. I'm trying to explain it to you. So for like your son, will he be functional at job stuff? When I've been around him, he's pretty cool. So
I like to think we've gotten him to a good place.
That's
but
the goal.
You never know. Yeah.
Look, I don't know if my 19-year-old's going to be functional in the world, right? So it's very hard to say.
Whitney and I actually question your...
Yeah, look at me, right?
Have you been to the doctor a lot?
I have not, actually. She'll be the first one to tell you I need somebody to hold my hand. And I say that jokingly about my 19-year-old, but looking at our 9-year-old now, as far as he's come, in the beginning, when we first got that diagnosis, going back to the fear, we were told that he's probably never going to talk. You've been around our son.
Yeah, and they based it on a scale from 1 to 4. And knowing Myers the way that you do, I used to pray for him to talk. Now the kid doesn't shut up on the scale. He was a 4, so we had no idea. I just prayed and hoped, and here we are today. It's what interventions you can get in between to get him what he needs.
Well, especially before the age of 10, too.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
When you talk about the most statistically important thing to do for your children, more importantly, being wealthy, is sitting and playing and talking with them from birth to age 9. And so I'm sure y'all had a huge impact there.
Well, absolutely. You want to be a part of that. You've got to make the most of the time that you're given with your children, right? No matter whether they're on the spectrum or not. We've all got to do that. But going back to the earlier you can get that diagnosis, the sooner you can get those things going. But at that very beginning diagnosis, they told us that our son needed 40 hours a week of therapy. Well, guess what? You can't find 40 hours of therapy. There's not enough providers in the country for anybody to get that. So as a parent, you get some guilt saying, well, he needs 40 hours a week of therapy. oh my gosh, I can only find 7 hours a week of therapy. And that was incredibly lucky to find 7. So you've got to put in the work as well, because you can't get a therapist or an ABA instructor. There's not enough of them to do all the therapy. And that's where I'll give Whitney, all the credit. I mean, she dug in, she learned what had to be done. And if we weren't in therapy, she was carrying those practices into the household. And so this podcast is not about us bragging about what we've done, but it's showing to be there to encourage others that you can do this. You're not alone. We've been there. We've done that. And that's what we want to be able to help folks know and understand through the Rowdy Foundation is you're going to get all this information. It's going to scare you. You're going to say, how in the world am I going to do this? We've got a place that you can go to. You've got resources. Whitney is a fantastic resource. She can connect you with therapists, counselors, instructors, all those different things to give you that hope that you need. Because I think in parenting any child, we need hope. But especially if we've got a special needs child, we need that hope of knowing that tomorrow's going to be a better day than today, each day going forward.
Well, and it speaks to the strength of real people over Google and AI, that when you can talk to somebody for 20 or 30 minutes, the same way I can talk to somebody in a real estate sense or a financial sense, as opposed to them going to Google and it says autism therapist. And they may go to 2 or 3 people who just aren't their cup of tea or don't deal with their specialty.
That's right.
Or may not have good bedside manner. They may be like Dr. House or something like that, walking around being mean. And then all of a sudden, like I've met somebody the other day listing a house, going through a horrible thing with an estate deal, and they were literally about to let their house go. And then I ran into them. I'm like, oh, this is easy. This. And I think that's an incredible resource to have somebody who's gone through it. I was wondering that. So Keaton Blocker's a good friend of mine. He's on WCBI. He's dealing with terminal cancer. And he's talking about all the people who constantly call him. They'll check in on him, and then they're like, oh, by the way, you should try some ivermectin, or not even wacky stuff. Like they're sending him studies, and he's like, it almost feels, he feels overwhelmed and kind of hopeless when they're like, you should do this. And he's like, I'm going to MD Anderson. Like, I Google stuff every night trying to keep myself alive. Do y'all have the same challenge in your community where people are like, stick a nicotine patch on in between your kid's shoulders and he's going to be fine, sort of thing? Or have y'all done that? Have you looked into it?
I haven't tried that one.
Because I can share a TikTok video with you.
I've done some crazy things, but
I mean, I think as a parent, you want to do whatever you can.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, I've had people tell me all kinds of crazy things. Or you'll just get the person that says autism isn't real. And that is the thing that'll just drive me up the wall.
They'll outgrow it. They'll outgrow it. It's not a problem.
I can understand that argument for ADHD. I think there's a misconfiguration of people who think anything that's stuff with your kids that isn't physical, you're like, oh, something that'll work.
Yeah.
So a lot of the ADHD and autism, a lot of those symptoms and things that we display can be commingled. But they are 2 totally separate things. And a lot of times you'll have kids who have autism who has that ADHD component on top of it. So it's like a double whammy. But you'll have the folks, as you said, that try and commingle and say, oh, it's all the same, or this, that, and the other, or it's not real, or we're going to outgrow it. Well, the facts are the facts. I mean, it is real. It's not going to be outgrown. But we can give tools, and as a community, we can support each other and support these folks who, you call it special needs. Whitney's coined the term, or she said it 1,000 times around me, special abilities. Because to me, it really is special abilities. I mean, the way that these folks' minds work is incredible. And if we can use those as a resource and come around that in the community, it really can have a positive impact. Because you talked about holding a job. Well, a lot of these folks can hold jobs. It's just a very niche field that they may be very niche into, but they're going to be the best person that has ever been in that particular field.
Yeah, and sometimes, especially in the Asperger's sense of it, it's, can we just do the same thing? Like restaurants don't work great for them because the situations are changing constantly.
Right.
So they'll be good for a couple of weeks, and then a price change or something will happen like that. And I think a lot of predominant research on the ADHD pure side now is, some of that is environmental and some of it's food and other things. Do y'all, I don't want to say buy into, but like, do you think there's an overdiagnosis of autism, or the recent talk from the president where there's, it's autism is tenfold than it was 30 years ago? Do you think that's better medical care, being aware of it, or do you think some of that, obviously some of it's just purely overblown? Do y'all have any thoughts on that?
I really think that there's more resources available now. That's why we're getting more of the diagnosis. But as far as like everything else,
I think it's awareness and resources,
yeah.
right? We're more aware of it now. We've got more resources to go out and find these things,
and people accept it more.
Yes,
and that's
accepting. Yeah, absolutely. Beforehand, it was, people would be ashamed. You didn't want to say that you had this in your family. And so you might not want that diagnosis, so you didn't have to be ashamed of the diagnosis.
Yeah, that's the finding out the truth thing. And Keaton, talking again, when we're talking on the cancer front too, there's innate things back in our DNA for thousands or millions of years, depending on which version of the Bible you read, that go back that any perceived weakness, physical or mental, in a human being, like people distance themselves from it. And sort of like, this isn't a casserole situation, but you announce your diagnosis, your friends and family come around, and eventually people are like, well, they're doing their own thing. Like I always say, the casserole stop coming eventually. My wife got breast cancer, and people overreact and come help way too much and then distance themselves. And that's how they are with anybody. I have a couple close friends whose kids have physical disabilities, and they're like, everybody's great at first and offers to babysit, but they don't really want to just watch them on a Tuesday night from 8 to 12. And that's where the community aspect of it is incredibly important. It would be very easy in Columbus and Starkville, Mississippi to think you're pretty much alone if you had a kid, even no matter where they are from 1 to 4 on the spectrum. When y'all first learned about it, how easy was it to find was there one community resource? Because right now I think you're it. I know there's other people.
There's definitely some other community resources out there that we've gotten to know, and they're incredible resources. But while we were talking a minute ago, I was thinking about how in the very beginning, Scott mentioned our 19-year-old. Well, at the time, he had started Pee Wee basketball, and we had to take Myers. Like, there was no stop in life. I wasn't not going to go support this child. So I would load Myers up. I was terrified to take him. I would go sit in the very top of the bleachers, and I would joke with Scott, like, I'm going to give this kid diabetes because his favorite food at the time was the Sour Patch Kids. And so every time he would sit, they would tell us different ways. They don't call it bribing, but it sounds like bribing. I would give him Sour Patch Kid if he would sit like I asked him to. And so by the end of the game, we had gone through, 4 or 5 packs of Sour Patch Kids.
Whatever you had to do.
Yeah, but over time, I realized nobody cared. Nobody was judging us. They were like, oh, you're here. This is great. So we backed off of those Sour Patch Kids a little bit, but
yeah, we were speaking about a political figure that happened this week, and I said that the abundance of not caring is unbelievable. People are focused on their own life and their own world, and once you get over that in your mind of they're going to have some compassion, but people will literally they'll forget. People will forget that your mom died last week, and it's a horrible.
It's lonely.
Yeah,
it gets lonely.
And that's a great thing that y'all literally started an organization to help people not be lonely.
Yeah, well, I was lonely. I was doing about 120 miles in the car every day, and
therapies, all the different places.
We would go Starkville, West Point, back to Starkville, back to Columbus, and I needed something, and that's a lot of why Rowdy was the thing, because I was looking for people to connect with that weren't just like, oh, he's gonna outgrow it, it's fine. Oh, he's just a boy, he'll come around. Like, I wanted people that knew what was going on in our lives and able to talk to.
Yeah, and it's hard to share stuff sometimes. Like, you don't want to.
Yeah.
Again, it isn't a sign of weakness, but you're walking that line between, I don't know about asking for help, but asking for help and come hang out.
You don't want to dump your problems on somebody else. Somebody else has problems too, right? And it's also in the sense that it's hard to share, because if someone just truly doesn't understand what you're going through, they just really don't understand. And so when folks say, I know what you're going through, well, unless you've walked in our shoes, you really don't know. I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate you wanting to understand, but you don't, right? Like, my wife's never had breast cancer, so I can't look at you, Colin, and say, I understand what you've been through. I have no idea.
Well, that is an absolute human instinct just in conversation. Just
absolutely.
I'm going to my friend Keaton Blocker talking about cancer and, of doing those things. And sometimes you don't realize subconsciously that it could offend or hurt sensibilities or offend somebody when you're like, well, my kid doesn't have terminal cancer. He's got this. And then when you talk about physical disabilities, that's a huge issue with my 2 friends who have it, where the people are like, this must be horrible for you. And they're like, well, he'll be able to make a living, And Down syndrome is another situation like that. We don't have a ton of it in our community. I know there's a couple families in Starkville where their kids have Down syndrome. And that's what they said. They're like, he's fine. That's what they say, especially with Down syndrome. They're like, he's doing great.
Yeah.
And but they talk about the scary part is, can they make a living when I'm gone? One of the most interesting factors for me, and I tell people at this in personal growth and development and meditation and stress, where I say everything's been fine so far. Like, y'all have an incredible burden financially and time-wise, but somehow you make it work, and it almost functionally works by itself. So, my wife had breast cancer. I had help with the kids. My kids had to step up. She didn't work. I was more successful. You know, y'all have been exponentially more successful because you're trying to help the community. Like, and I know you've gotten a reputation for that, although it took me about 2 years to figure out that you were the Rowdy Foundation. I'm like, man, Scott guy's all over this Rowdy thing.
I like to hide.
I think
He's my number one supporter.
I had to wrangle you to put your logo on something for Zachary's once, and I think it was the second time y'all did the dinner with the golf tournament at Zachary's.
Yes.
And I'm like, you have to start putting your stuff on there, and then you can put the Rowdy thing on there. But they, they're somewhat hand in hand when they help, because your reputation for helping y'all's reputation for helping other people is exceptional, and hopefully y'all get paid back somewhat in the Rowdy standpoint. So.
Look, we've been, like I said, this community blessed us from the very beginning with the resources and the opportunities that have been given to Myers and to us. This is just our way of giving back. I mean, that's the way that I think about it. That's what Rowdy's about.
We've been blessed by the friendships that we've made along the way too. There's some really incredible people out there.
Well, y'all are much like we talked about Forge. So Forge is a local group here that literally developed by force.
Yeah.
So that could the link and EMCC University and EMCC and the tech centers of the school weren't quite getting the message out to kids that you should work in the trades. So people just started it. I say it had to have happened. Like, that force had to come up from somebody. And of course, a couple of good friends of mine created it, and now it's a statewide organization. Yep. Same thing with you. This happened by necessity. We're in impoverished rural Mississippi, where there's a lot of cases of autism and the people had nowhere to go. Well, somebody had to do something. And I'm glad y'all had the foresight and the energy to push through it. So
it's kind of like you said that with Forge, no one was just doing a good job of telling the story, because there are resources here.
Yeah.
There's TK Martin over in Starkville at Mississippi State University, fantastic special needs preschool. Golden Triangle Autism Center in West Point. There's autism facilities here in Columbus. There's things that are here. It's just, if you don't know where to go or what's out there, you don't know what you don't know. And so there was not a good story being told about what was out there. And I'll give Whitney all the credit for that, of being out there telling the story, championing these places, and showing folks where they can go to get help and resources.
No.
Well, and I'll be honest, very candid. I said, as soon as we got Myers' diagnosis, I said, we're getting out of here. We got to go find someone. Yeah. And he point blank said, well, I'm not going anywhere.
Business is here. We're kind of tied.
Yeah, we're tied here. And so I was like, okay, here we go.
In a different realm with less seriousness, my wife and I did the same thing 13 years ago. We're like, we're not going to wait to get invited to parties. We're not going to wait for somebody to champion the community. Like, sometimes you have to put a flag in the ground and do it. Especially when you have some of the resources here. The Dream Center, John Allman in West Point and Columbus is a great example of that. Where, like, when he came up with the idea, I'm like, you're insane. There's like 70 Dream Centers around the country. I believe, like, in the percentile, we're in the 18th percentile population-wise. The next smallest one is around 700,000 people. And here he's around 200,000. But money-wise, plenty of people would love to hear a story about a kid needs a bed and give him money.
Absolutely.
And same thing. He just created it and had this unreasonable thing. I like to surround myself with unreasonable people. Your financial stuff's cute, but it's fairly reasonable, depending on what month it is. You didn't need to call me in May of this year, but this was an unreasonable thing to say, hey, we're going to devote our time, energy, and a lot of our money to help other people get to places. Let's talk about, we've got 3 events, two events you're doing, one you're participating in quick succession. So let's start with, I guess the first one would be the all-inclusive obstacle course.
Yeah, so that's Rowdy Races. I had that idea set in my brain since we started. I wanted to do something outdoors, get the kids involved. So that's an obstacle course that we hold at the soccer complex. There are 2 routes. You can have wheels or you can be on your feet. Take your time, do whatever you need to, and it's just different obstacles throughout to get to the end. We have medals, and we have some great volunteers come and help in the community.
This is my favorite event. Look, seeing all the kids, kids in wheelchairs, kids running right next to them, who in a normal, typical race wouldn't be able to compete together, right? But they're out there having fun. They're cheering each other on. They're pushing each other through. Every year there's a big foam pit kind of thing. It's just so much fun watching these kids get to interact, who otherwise would be in separate events, separate things. They would be separated. We're bringing everybody together. Let's have fun together. And to me, that's
Saturday, September 20th?
It is, yeah, it is. And something else to note on that is it's not just wheelchairs. Something that I always feared with Myers, he eloped a lot. He ran anytime we would go somewhere. And so you can push kids in strollers. It's not an issue.
And you've got parents that run this. It's everybody's participating in this. So to me, it's just so cool. things that, normally just can't happen. Well, we said, yeah, it can. And we brought it all together.
So how do y'all reach out to people for that other than advertising or going on something like this? Do y'all email schools and stuff or the TK Martin Center, that sort of thing?
Yeah, we notify the schools and let them know, and we use a lot of advertisement on Facebook. And
you get some billboards too. Well, billboards for the other part. So what time is it going to be that Saturday?
10 o'clock.
See, we have a fancy flyer, and we're going to put that flyer, ding.
Oh,
man, magic.
That'll show up too. So, okay, then move on to the next event.
Yeah, so maybe we're a little crazy because we like to do things in succession here. So on September 25th, we do one big fundraiser a year. And that's where we really ask the community to get behind us, help us fund some of these things that we do over the course of the year. And this year we're doing something new. It's called Rowdy's Roundup. It's going to be on September 25th at 8 o'clock at Prairie Wildlife. It's going to be a clay tower shoot. If you've never shot before, if you're an expert sportsman, clay shooter, we want you to come join us. You're going to have fun that day. We're going to make it a fun event themed around Rowdy's Roundup. So I'm really, really excited. If you know me, I'm a shooter, so that kind of fell in my wheelhouse. She's a pretty good shot too. She keeps that.
I was going to ask if we're not going to allow your oldest son to participate in this, right?
No, he's a sharpshooter, so that would be unfair.
I'd like to note that their oldest son is a near world champion junior helix.
Helix.
Yes. I get closer and closer.
Yeah,
Helix every time. I get closer every time. So he's a crack shot. So
he can't compete anyway. So he can shoot, but he's not competing for the trophy. How about that?
That'd be good. And how much is it to do this? Or
it's $250 per shooter. We've got various different sponsorship opportunities, teams, corporate teams, however you want to do it. And you can find more information on getrowdy.org.
Yeah, we'll be doing lunch, and at the end of the day, we'll be doing a cigar and bourbon tasting.
So what time is that event from? What's the date and time on that? It's the next Saturday. No, Thursday.
September 25th. The event's going to start at 8. We'll have lunch sometime between 12:30 1 o'clock, and then we're going to have that bourbon and cigar tasting after that. So it'll be a full day of
at Prairie Wildlife,
too. At Prairie Wildlife, that's
which
right.
I hear is pretty fancy. I haven't been, but I'll be for
beautiful.
That, so.
It's a hidden gem in the Golden Triangle. I talk about Mr. Jimmy all the time. He's one of my favorite people, and he's opened this place up. I mean, it's open to the public. Prairie Wildlife, if you haven't been, it's a place to check out, and we're excited to show people this place and have some fun and getting rowdy, raising funds for the Rowdy Foundation.
Cool. And the flyer for that is, ding. See, we're nearly professional here. And then the third part is Little Hands, Big Trucks, right?
Yeah.
October 5th-ish?
4th.
Yep.
That weekend close enough. Obviously the biggest.
10-4, beat. Hey, we didn't even come up with that or try and do it around that, but that's pretty funny, right?
That is the busiest Saturday of the year, but everything's in one place. It's the soccer complex. Munson has their, Munson Brothers has their Oktoberfest.
That's right. Yep.
It's family friendly during the day, and y'all have the car show. So Little Hands, Big Trucks. It's like a $5 donation, right?
That's right. And this year we're partnering with Forge. So all of the proceeds from the event are going to go to the Forge Foundation that you touched on earlier. We're going to have Rowdy's Sensory Hour from 9 to 10.
No horns, no lights.
No horns, no lights. And we'll have a sensory tent. People can stop by if they need to take a break. We'll have things for the kids to take home.
It's my favorite hour of the day.
I, as a big fan of quiet, I have a 2-year-old corgi, so quiet does not exist at my house anymore. But as a big fan of quiet, I like that portion of it, even though I have horns and lights on my car and stuff.
Absolutely.
What any guess on what percentage of the autism of the spectrum is a big or huge deal for them? I mean, we see the examples of the kid covering their ears up and that sort of thing.
I don't know. I mean, I would say probably 75%. Does that seem like a fair number?
Does it just kind of go hand in hand with the over-processing of information?
Yeah, overstimulated.
Overstimulation. That's right. But you've got like typically developing children. Like our daughter, she's very typical. Loud noises, she's not a fan of. So she likes that 9 to 10 hour.
Yeah.
So it's not just the special needs or spectrum children that enjoy it. You've got children of all different types that enjoy that hour. But as far as, percentage-wise, I would say 60 to 75%.
Well, and as important during that time, all the swag, nobody's run out of swag or free
they have not.
There's shorter lines for every single thing, and all you got, and it's cooler outside because that's usually the last heat wave. For some reason is October 4th and 5th every year. So that's pretty cool. And watch this. The flyer for that is here.
Love it.
It's magic.
Yeah.
Magic has that shows up. How long have y'all been involved with Little Hands, Big Trucks? Because I thought I saw a memory from 2018 maybe.
That was actually Scott and Karen Stanley's baby.
Yeah, we started Little Hands Big Trucks back in 2011, I believe. So this would be, we've done every year except for 2020. Obviously, COVID kind of crushed all our hopes and dreams that year. But we've done it every year since then, and we're excited. This is actually Karen and I's last year as championing the event. Forge is going to take it over next year. So it's going to good folks.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to get even cooler vehicles.
For sure. It needed somebody new to take it and run with it, and we're still going to support it and be a part of it. But Forge is going to be.
But that kind of integration with them is going to be incredible. I think, just because like they're going statewide. They know everybody, Christy and them, and they've just absolutely blown up. Plus, we'll have construction nearby with the Burns boys.
I mean, absolutely, it's going to be great. And so with Forge, they've got they focus, on 8th grade and high school. This will give them a way to really get in front of those kids at a younger age, and so in the elementary schools, because that's really that's our target audience, I guess you could say, for Little Hands Big Trucks is your preschools and your elementary kids, or you got people like me who still love equipment at near 40 years old, who are going to be there every year anyways. But I'm excited to pass that torch to them.
We need the thing they have in Vegas where the grown-ups can go play on the big toys and dig.
Right.
And they also have the smaller version where they're like remote-controlled dump trucks.
Oh, man.
So we can talk a little franchise idea there and put a lunch place out. I think I've told you I'm trying to convince Mr. John at United Deli to open a store up out by the industrial complex.
Oh, please tell him.
We just license his name and a picture of his face, and we could have paper plate sandwiches for sale, and we'd make millions.
Oh, I want that Philly cheesesteak sandwich so bad now. Now I'm going to have to drive out there after I leave here.
It's a late lunch there. What do y'all have to do to get ready for the mainly the obstacle course? So the all-inclusive obstacle course. Is it bouncy houses? Do y'all have to buy
She's
stuff?
crazy. I mean, the stuff that she's thought of.
It's the third time he's called you crazy.
I know.
Thank you.
You shouldn't count, Colin. I mean it in a good way, okay? But I'll let her talk about it. I mean, it's cool stuff that she's come up with. Putting it all together is a bit of a chore.
Yeah, we have a storage bin in the back of our house that it holds all things Rowdy. We have the cones, we have the noodles where we make little walkways for the kids to go under. I have 2x4s that my father-in-law so graciously comes every single year and puts them together for me as the balance beams to go down. We have inflatables, we have tires. It's a chore. My parents even come down and help us set up that morning. I'm hoping that over time we'll be able to collect more people that want to wake up at 5 in the morning with us to set all this up. But
we get out there at 5. My father-in-law, he's stressing 5 minutes after we've been out there if we're going to get it done in time. We always seem to find a way to get it done. But it's a little bit of a chore to put it together. But it's totally worth the smiles that you see on those kids' faces.
Yeah, and I haven't told anybody we've added a few things this year, too.
You're pretty exciting.
I'm so excited about the new stuff, Colin. No, I'm just kidding. I really am excited because I know it's going to put a smile on some kid's face, and maybe I can twist Colin's arm and get him out there that morning.
Yeah.
I'm a morning person, so I need to get out there.
Yeah,
my biggest thing that happens in these 2 months is the 50-something events I have to talk about on WCN.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
it's a busy time of year.
It's nice, but that's not a bad weekend. I'm trying to remember. I have my kids up at Ole Miss, and so we have to go up there for a few football games. So I got to remember which days. I know I'm going to be at the clay shoot thing. I don't know if I'll be shooting. I'll have to find some way to do something.
I'll be shooting. You can shoot, too.
I've only shot one gun. So they used to like me to go up and speak at Ducks Unlimited because I'd go up there and tell this cool emotional speech on stage about how important it is for our youth, and when that man's going out in the forest and he's going through this duck blind with his son, and then I end the speech with, I've never shot a gun, and they're just like, what the tarnation is going on? So the Lowndes County Sheriff's Department let me shoot a fully automatic weapon, so that's all I've ever shot.
I love it.
But, then they let you shoot something really.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm done. And I'm not against him or anything. My friend Nathan Wilson, who'll be on the show soon and is going to be there, is a director of the Mississippi Wildlife Federation. And so he wants to get out there and hang out with y'all.
Come on.
Meet. Yeah, because, and he told me, he said it's not that hard to shoot a shotgun. I'm like, yeah, but there's people like to the left and right, and I'm going to start hitting them, and people will scream.
Come on. We can get you going, I promise. And that's like I said earlier, whether you've shot a gun or not shot a gun, we're going to have folks out there who can get you going. Prairie Wildlife has got probably one of the best shooting coaches in the country, Xavier Fairley. Xavier will be there that morning. He can put you on a target.
I need to come out there and do the show that day, because I bet you there'd be a bunch of heavy hitters.
There's going to be a lot of folks that you know. It'd be a good time to do a podcast out there, absolutely.
Yeah, we do. He keeps telling me. Nathan keeps telling me about all these famous hunters, and he always likes that. I have no idea who they are when I meet him. And I'm like, that dude was neat. What does he do again? And he's like, that's Will Primos, the premier duck caller in the world. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, he was cool, wasn't he?
So, yeah, I mean, talk about like a plethora of goods when you talk about over in West Point of all the stuff between Mossy Oak and everything else they have going out there. Sort of back to autism, and not really a resource thing, but if somebody's got a child under 10 years old, there's certain things they should look for or that should tip people off. And my wife is a preschool teacher, so she's got a pretty keen eye for things. But I just didn't know if the general public should be looking for something, because some people are very functional. You know, I think, like I said, Asperger's usually doesn't get diagnosed in a lot of kids till they're 9, 10, 12 years old.
Yes. Well, we have on our resource page on our website, we have an assessment that most doctors around here use when your child turns 2. And you can go through and look at all these questions and kind of decide, like, is that leaning towards what my child is doing? And then set an appointment with your primary care.
And it's an assessment that you can use past the year of 2.
Absolutely,
you can start using it at 2, but you can use it for your 9 or 10-year-old. We could use it on you, Colin, if you wanted to. I'm just messing with
I don't even want to joke about OCD because I'm so critical of other people. We've all got a little of the OCD age. I mean, obviously, you can't be too successful in life if you can't hyper-focus every once in a while.
That's
right. Absolutely.
But to me, that hyper-focus is an absolute superpower of autism. I've seen it not only in our own child and other folks. If they can find a way to harness that, they really can make a huge impact in the world.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, sometimes I'm most familiar with Asperger's like in action, in placement. And it's because the subject to change and, of course, not being able to infer anything. That's I know that's a lot of the spectrum thing, which is like, we're doing it just like we did it yesterday. And they're like, I don't know. I understand what you're saying, but no.
No.
And Rowdy's, can he crack shot with a gun yet, or how are we doing?
He started. We finally gave in. He's not too bad, but he doesn't have the hyper focus on the guns just yet.
That could be the origin story of some sort of assassin movie or something. I'm seeing Mark Wahlberg is
he
Rowdy.
Really wants to be a movie producer, so.
That's I mean, and again, I think if he can hyper focus on that, I think he could be fantastic.
Talk about less barriers in your way than ever before. You know, like I said, they've made Catfish Alley Studios, Mississippi's only Web 3.0 studio, has made it so easy to do the podcast here.
Absolutely.
And I've started doing videos because I've realized finally the editing software for the videos is dummy proof, and like the kids do what they can do with movies and everything else now is incredible.
Oh, they can work iPads better than me. I don't know how to do half of it. So
that's grown-up stuff. We've got 3 kids that fall in those different, not spectrums, but sections. But the oldest one's 18, so she grew up without it. She likes her phone, but she could live without it. The middle one kind of needs the phone. The youngest one, I don't know,
can't function without it.
And at Heritage, they took the phones away from the kids totally. So you know who's got the biggest problem with that? The parents.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to be able to text my kid at lunch. They need to know what's going on in my life. And like, the first couple days, Julie was a little hesitant. Now she's like, yes, she's learning more.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we all survive without it. We're here.
Yeah, you got to do stuff in real life, and that's what these events are about too. We've talked about social media and marketing on the podcast before about like now you have to do stuff in real life. Not everybody's on Facebook. When 2020, everyone was on Facebook. Every event was on Facebook. And now we're back to where some people are magazines, some people are radio, some people are this. And y'all do billboards mainly for the Rowdy Shootout, right?
Yeah, so we've got a billboard up right now for the Rowdy's Roundup. Just trying to get some. That's the biggest thing that we need is we need participants. We want folks to get out there that day to learn more about us, what we're doing, seeing some other folks who support us, and really getting that event to be a big event. But we do so many other events out of the year. I know we've talked about the Roundup and we've talked about Rowdy's Races. But when you want to talk about some of the other things that we do, because I think that's, as you said, the real world stuff, that's the stuff that really gets me excited and all the other things that we do.
Absolutely. So this past year was our first time partnering with the Golden Triangle Theater, and we did a sensory-friendly viewing of one of their shows last year. We have 2 coming up this year. Elf is in December, and then we have one at the beginning of next year. We also do sensory-friendly movies. Just different things that we do. We try to provide for the teachers. So we've done sensory boxes in the past. We're doing the communication boards. I'm trying to think of other events.
Sensory Santa?
Sensory Santa, yes.
Why don't you tell folks what sensory, when we say sensory this, sensory that, what does it mean when we have a sensory event? So what does it allow folks to be able to participate when it's a sensory?
Yeah, I guess that would be an important bit of information.
Well, we think everyone knows.
We think, yeah.
That's the reason you have to talk everything out, because you just assume everybody knows.
In my world, I know exactly what it is. So, for example, when we do the movies, they turn the lights up a little bit. They turn the sound down. There's no concern about kids walking around, getting up, if they're dancing in the middle, which I can't say that my kids don't do that during a normal video, but there's no question. I mean, if you have to chase your kid up and down the stairs because that's all they want to do for the hour and a half that you're sitting in the movie, so be it. They have the option of I'm trying to think of what else they do.
I mean, it's like a judgment-free zone. Is kind of what
basically.
I would say, right? So the lights are up, the sound's down. At Sensory Santa, you're in a room by yourself, so it's not like, when you go to the mall to see Santa.
I still
everybody's around.
have nightmares about that.
Yes,
and your kid, they may be really excited to see Santa, but then they get in there and it's just overwhelming because it's so sensory overload, right? You've got the smells of Christmas. You've got Santa in his big red suit. You've got Mrs. Claus there. There's so many things. And so you get your own space to where it's you and your family and the photographer, and you've got more than 30 seconds. Because at the mall, they're running you through, right?
Yeah.
And, because they're trying to charge you $40 for the picture, this, that, and the other. You come to our event, you're going to have time. We're not charging you for the picture. Again, all the events are always free. We want them to be available to anybody and everybody. But it's just a judgment-free zone where the kids can be themselves and enjoy what everybody else gets to enjoy, but they get to enjoy it in their way.
Mm-hmm.
And what does a theater do? So I'm involved with the Golden Triangle Theater. Huge
yeah.
fans of them.
Absolutely.
So the sensory performance, what does that entail there? Same thing, a little more lights, a little less singing?
Yeah, absolutely. And the kids are learning too, the kids on stage, how to work through that. So it's really cool. It's more of an inclusive event where they're learning while the kids get to sit and learn and how to sit. So we provide sensory bags for the kids. We have optional seating to where they can go up front. We have bean bags, mats that they can lay out on. A lot of them, I think we did Frozen last year, if I'm not mistaken, and there was
fidgets,
a lot of
things
singing.
they can play with.
Yeah, I bring him along because I'm really good at writing it on paper and talking it out on the phone. But when a camera's in front of me,
she pulls it off. She pulls it all off. I'm just reciting the stuff that I know that we've been able to do. But it's just a way to give the kids something to, if they need something to fidget with while they're watching, fidget and watch the show.
Well, and it's a great tool. I've had with the movies, I've had a lot of feedback that the kids are able to go and experience it because they've always been terrified that they're going to ruin, the parents are worried they're going to ruin somebody else's experience there. So they've gone to the movies with us. They've figured out what works and what doesn't work for their kids. And so now half of them are going to movies on a Saturday with their families with no concern. They know what to take and what to do, and they're prepared to go. So
that's one of my arguments when you're going to see rated G movies or even a PG movies.
Oh, absolutely.
There's going to be some noise.
Yeah, but you got kids, not everybody thinks like we do.
But again, back to what we said at the beginning, though, when you're on your own for the first time with a special needs child who may be acting out in a way that a typical developing child may not, you've got that fear of what are other people thinking? Are we ruining it for them? Or it's putting pressure on you because others are watching you. And so you can go to these events and all that pressure is taken away. There's no one there to judge. And it just gives them the chance to experience it. I mean, how many first movies have we allowed people to go to? I mean, I know that there have been people who've gone to our movies that had a child that was maybe 9 or 10 years old and had never been to a movie theater before. I mean, how awesome is it that now, as Whitney said, they can go to the movie, and they do go to the movie as a family. For 10 years of their life, they didn't do it because they were scared and worried about it.
Yeah.
Now they've got to experience it and see. And that's another piece that we've added back to make their life better going forward.
Well, that speaks to, historically, the diagnosis, the ratio of diagnosis, too, that, I wasn't allowed out of my house without a collared shirt on with my father till I moved out of the house. And his generation had to wear a suit and tie, so they sure as heck were not letting a rowdy kid.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Rowdy kid. No,
absolutely. Yeah.
No offense to the name, but but
well, he got that name for a reason.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't. I mean, they weren't like it wasn't. You weren't seen in public. So again, same thing with physical disabilities and stuff, where just there's still some shame and I don't want to bother you things. So y'all do have people come to the events. It's their first time. Can you kind of tell when they're walking in with their kid and they're just like?
Yeah.
Oh, I can feel it too.
Yeah.
I know the feeling as soon as they walk in if they've never done it before.
You can sense it. Mom and Dad both just have that. They're putting out that aura of just complete nervousness. What have we done? They've gone out of their comfort zone to be there to begin with. But then at the beginning you see that, but then at the end when they come out, totally different. It's like you can just see the release of, wow, okay, we can do this. This is another thing we've conquered.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have had discussion with Kate Blocker, who's got terminal cancer, and we've talked about how there's a lack of, it's not a lack of concern, but a lack of obvious care for the caretakers and stuff. Can you talk about how that's different or the same in the autism community, about the parents who are dealing with it as much as the kids? Because in some situations, depending on where on the spectrum, it's the same as Down syndrome, where they might be blissfully unaware. They may think they're awesome, and they are awesome.
Absolutely.
But the parents are so nervous about it. Do y'all have resources for the parents too to deal with it?
Well, we have the resources available for them to look at. We tried to do a support group at one point in time, but we just haven't been able to keep it a steady flow as far as having childcare and making all that work. So I'm an open book if somebody calls me, but as far as resources, there's some other organizations in our community that do really well with the caregiving aspect.
Is there, outside of the professional spectrum of nursing and stuff, is there a certification a babysitter somebody could get? Because like my daughter had like 4 different ones, which were for like, one was for physical disability, one of them was for choking, one of them was for drowning, one of them was just baby care. Do you know if there's a certification for handling kids with autism? Because that would be really valuable.
That's a good question. It would be
really
great.
valuable.
Yes.
If you could get babysitters to come take a 3-night course.
That would be a very cool resource to have, I always just went on a wish and a prayer and said, here we go, I need a night out.
You got her wheels turning now, though. You can see it. She's thinking about this. I mean, we've luckily we found a really good babysitter, and that's hard, though, is doing that. And you're talking about the parents, and I'm not ashamed to say this, I mean, finding somebody to talk to. I mean, we've both been in therapy literally since right after his diagnosis, and that has been fantastic for us, because some weeks there's nothing to talk about, and that's okay, but some weeks you're carrying something very heavy that you need to get through, and so having somebody to talk to, whether it's a therapist or support group, as she said, there's other groups in town that do have some really strong ties with that. It's important, because as a special need parent, some days, weeks, months go by great, and then sometimes you just hit a wall and you think, oh my gosh, how are we ever going to get through this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't imagine not just being a parent, but the caretakers, if you're bringing mom in or whatever to come watch, she may have the patience, but not the lightning quick awareness. Am I correct about that? Because again, I've been around your son a little bit. Like,
oh yeah.
He might be here today. I'm
now
not sure.
They've had Whitney training, but that doesn't qualify you for anything.
Well, as she said, I mean, this is just speaking to our child. I mean, but like he was a runner when he was little, and so in our house there were the top latches on every single door, and they were deadbolts, because if we didn't lock that door, if we turned around for 1 second, and it could literally just be that we went to the pantry, he could be gone. And so I know that we're not the only one that have gone through that type of situation. So there's all these different things where you've got to make sure that everybody that's in the situation knows all the different moving parts and pieces to that individual and the way that they think. That's hard.
Yeah, and that's not something that I would just casually be like, hey, Colin, guess what happened last night? If he had run down the driveway, which that actually did happen. Bless that FedEx woman that drove in the driveway at the time that she did.
She was 9 months pregnant with our daughter, and he bolted down the driveway, and he made it to the street. And
we have a long driveway.
But thank God, that FedEx lady, as she said, was not even coming to her house. She just saw him literally walking into the street and stopped. As she can see, a very pregnant 9-month-old lady wobbling down the driveway trying to come get their child, right? So it's hard. But the hard days, the sun will come back up,
Yeah, the good days outweigh the hard days.
They do. But having somebody you can talk to, I think, is incredibly important. We're very fortunate in the sense that we're both on the same page. I know for a lot of folks, special needs can be hard on a relationship, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, as you talked about earlier, sickness in a family. I'm sure that's hard on a relationship, right? Because one person says, oh my gosh, I'm making everybody else go through this. And then you're saying, oh my gosh, I'm carrying all this weight. I mean, all that stuff weighs, right? So whether you're communicating with each other or getting somebody else to communicate with, incredibly important.
All right. So if people want to find you, support you, and find out about the events, where do they go to?
We go to www.getrowdy.org.
That's the easiest place. I know you'll have some presence on Facebook and on billboards and on this flyer, and this flyer. Ding. The 3 events going in there. Thanks so much for coming today.
Thanks
I can't wait to
us.
see you later this month.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 times.
Yeah. All right. Hey, guys. Thanks for listening to the podcast. My name is Colin Krieger, and my day job is real estate. If you're looking to buy or sell, I'd love to talk to you. Or if you just want to sit and talk real estate in a no pressure situation, I'd love to help you. I work with RE/MAX Partners in Starkville, Columbus, and West Point, Mississippi. I can help you find an agent anywhere in Mississippi or anywhere in the country. Just reach out to our office at 662-327-7705 or find me anywhere when you type in 662-329-SOLD.